Hello, I'm Ernie Suggs with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, here today with the Honorable Ambassador Andrew Young as we celebrate his 90th birthday. Ambassador Young, thank you for having us today in your wonderful, beautiful museum-like home. You're approaching 90. How does that feel?
I'm doing pretty good. I mean, I'm not in pain. I don't take a whole lot of pills. Take vitamin pills. But far as I know, I'm still in pretty sound mind.
You told me earlier before we started filming that there's a lot of parties and stuff that's going on for you, but all you wanted to do was just, your only assignment was to make it to 90.
That's what I said. I said, however you all celebrate it is your business. My job is just to get to 90. Well, I don't know how to celebrate a birthday.
Okay.
And we're basically celebrating the birthday to help carry on the work of the foundation, which originally I thought when I left, the foundation would die.
Oh, okay.
See, and we have so many good projects in process that we can't let it die.
Yes.
And even if something happens to me, the things that we've got that are going to take another 5-10 years probably. And that's the kind of foundation I wanted. I wanted a foundation to help shape the future based on the 90 years that I've enjoyed this city and this country and the world.
How do you, coming from where you came from in terms of civil rights and working for the United Nations, tell us about your thoughts about the battle for democracy here in America. Is that distraught to you?
No, one of the things you learn with Martin Luther King and that you learn in the Bible is that history is not a straight line of progress. It's ups and downs, it's setbacks and setups, and freedom is a constant struggle. One of my recollections of Dr. King, we were all in our early 30s. And he was saying, kind of playfully, but very serious, he said, we have got to be clinically insane to think that this bunch of ragtag young Negroes can redeem the soul of this nation. He said, we don't have any money, we don't have any weapons. We didn't even have the right to vote back then. And he said, we'll be lucky to make it to 40. He said, but if we make it past 40, we're going to have to keep this struggle going to at least 100.
Let's talk about Atlanta for a little bit. So you moved here in 1961. And I'll talk to Andrea, for those of you, Andrea Young, who's your daughter, who's the executive director of the Georgia ACLU, who's doing very good work. She mentioned that, sometimes when you all drive around town or you drive around town, you are proud of the fact of what Atlanta is, and obviously proud of what you have contributed to what Atlanta is now.
Well, I think maybe I have to confess that that's my sin.
Okay.
My sin is pride in this city.
Okay.
And I can remember the groundbreaking with Bill Marriott when he and John Portman started to build the Marriott Marquis. And I can remember when the Dutch started building the Ritz-Carlton hotels. And the Dutch put $1.5 billion into Atlanta during the time I was mayor. And we got started on a growth process that surprised people, and they were uncomfortable with it at first. I think the thing was that I saw the proposals, I saw the plans, I saw the vision that international investors had for Buckhead. And if we had not connected Georgia 400 with 75, 85, a lot of that couldn't have happened. The traffic would not have allowed it. And I frankly did not see any vision from Washington. And I knew Washington. I'd been to Washington before I came to Atlanta. I always had Republican friends and Democratic friends, and made most of them through the Congressional Prayer Breakfast
Okay.
because I treated my time in Congress like Congress was my church. See, and I spoke to everybody. If I heard that somebody's lost a loved one, I'd give them a call and talk with them a little while just to be a pastor, and that helped a great deal.
What do you think since your years in Atlanta from 1961, what has been your greatest achievement? Or do you look at things like that?
I don't know. I'd rather think that I am a part of an intellectual explosion.
Okay.
See, I mean, it wasn't me. It was John Portman. It was Charlie Loudermilk. It was Jesse Hill. It was Herman Russell. See, and as we brought sports in, Hank Aaron became my friend, and I just think that we found out the key to growth and prosperity was being able to live and work together and honestly communicate with each other. See, we don't have to agree. We just have to express ourselves and listen to try to understand what the opposition has to say. And we can usually work out a common ground.
But did you think when you moved here in 1961 that, the city that you moved to then, that would 25, 30 years later would host the Olympics, would have the busiest airport in the world,
No,
would have
nobody
a host
did.
of Fortune 500 companies?
Nobody did.
Okay.
And
you
yet-
did it, and it was you.
No. I mean, the first time I came through Atlanta, I remember the Klan marched down Auburn Avenue.
Oh.
I was here for a high Y conference at the Butler Street Y. That must have been about 1946. And but when I came back through Atlanta, I remember driving in. There were no expressways. I drove down Ponce de Leon, and a rat crossed the highway.
Yeah.
And I slowed down. I figured rats had more rights than black folk in Georgia.
And this was 1961?
No, this was 1951.
Okay.
When I came here in 61, I came specifically because we saw John Lewis on television.
Yeah.
And my wife said, "We got to go home." I said, "We are home."
In New York.
We in New York. I said, "We just built this. We just bought this house." And I said, "This is a good job. I can go. I can stay here for life." She said, "Yeah, you stay by yourself. I'm going home." I said, "Where's home?" "Anywhere down south." And I said, "What about Atlanta?" She said, "You go to Atlanta. I'm going back to my mama's house in Marion, Alabama, because she just had our third child, and she just gotten a master's degree. And she wanted to come back to the South to be a part of the growth and development. She died of cancer after we'd been married 40 years. And Carolyn and I have been married now 26 years. And both school teachers, both very active church women, and both happen to be willing to put up with me.
What is it like to put up with you after 90 years, in 90 years?
Well, I've always been difficult.
Really?
Yeah, because I grew up in a difficult family, a wonderful family, but they encouraged the freedom of thought.
Okay.
And I never got punished for talking back to my parents, that I had a right to an opinion. They might overrule it, but they never shut me up.
Okay.
See, they might make me apologize if I was a little too smart for some other adult that wasn't used to that. But they encouraged Walter and me to think for ourselves.
What is Atlanta known for? What do people come here for? What do you want people to know about Atlanta?
Well, the cultural anchor for Atlanta for the last 200 years has been education.
Okay.
See? I mean, you come to Atlanta and you got 5 historically black colleges. You've got Georgia Tech, one of the top engineering schools in the world. Georgia State had 200 different nationalities in their student body, you know, a few years ago. I don't know what they have now. We've got a great symphony. We have produced a drama. I went to a great play, and the Alliance Theater. We produce playwrights and now the movies.
Yeah.
Right now we're known for being a bunch of really smart, hard-working people that get the job done.
Okay.
We have a vision of being a progressive city. And we only get in trouble when somebody wants to turn us around and take us back the wrong way. I'm proud of how far we've come and how much of a contribution. I don't think there is a city in the world that has blossomed like we have.